This is my wife's 2020 Silverado, and today we're throwing long tube headers at it. Now all we gotta do is this underneath it. And I haven't told her. It's gonna get wild. I'm changing her oil. That's what we tell her. Believe it or not, this is her truck, and drives it every single day to the school in which she teaches at, and she's never really been opposed to me modifying her truck. However, this one just might get me in trouble. Well, I went ahead and told her to take the van today because I needed to detail her truck, which is actually true, it's a complete mess, but we're also gonna be making it a little bit rowdier at the same time. And she just about caught me already. I snuck out last night and hit all the exhaust bolts with some PB blasters. She went out shortly after I did and grabbed something from the truck and smelled something off. Well, we're gonna go ahead and be pulling fender liners out, all that fun stuff, because we have long tube headers going on today. Let's do this.
Sweet like wine, got honey on her tongue. One hand on a bottle, she got one hand on a gun. She squeezed that trigger, you as good as done.
Guys, we've had a few different iterations of exhaust tones on this 2020 Silverado, and I am on a mission to create the baddest sounding Silverado of this latest generation on this planet. And today is just the next iteration on that quest. Now, let's take a really quick trip down memory lane because this isn't the only exhaust system we've had on this thing. Shortly after we bought the truck, I decided to go with the cheapest option possible and slapped on a muffler delete. It did the job, made it louder, but it was incredibly unrefined. Next up, we got our hands on the Borla S-Type exhaust system thanks to our friends over at Real Truck. Quality sound, loud under wide open throttle, but way too quiet under normal driving conditions. Saving the best for last, what we currently have on the truck is the AWE 0FG exhaust system. And through all the years with all these exhaust systems on this truck, the most difficult part of this is being able to translate the true tone and sound to you guys. We're gonna do our best with various microphones, but also leveraging a decibel meter. Yeah, so this guy's gonna read how loud it is. Choo! I can do better. Between the Borla S-Type and this AWE system, I like this one best, primarily because of the exhaust tones you get at low RPM and low throttle inputs. The S-Type technically was louder at wide open throttle and high RPM. This AWE system is actually louder at low RPMs, or kind of the day-to-day driving. Also has a nice baritone tone to it, which I'll never get sick of. We're gonna get a few different decibel readings, one at startup and then a few revs. Now this truck has a soft limiter at 3,500 RPM, so we'll get it up to that point, but we're gonna get an idea of a decibel reading at 3,500, get you guys on a mic and hear the tone. I'll try to get a flyby as well at high RPM, but the main deal for me is to understand if we simply swap out stock manifolds for headers with a performance aftermarket exhaust system, how much louder did she get, and does the exhaust tone change at all? I got a feeling this is gonna be epic. Almost as epic as that shop right there. So we actually hit the limiter in first gear on that one. Now the last pre-test we're going to do is something I've wanted to do for a very long time. We have HP Tuner's MPVI3. We're actually going to run a data log on the truck. The main thing I'm looking for is any knock retard. So if there's any knocking going on, the truck detects it and it retards the spark. I have heard after long tube headers being installed, vehicles detecting some, call it false knock, because they're quite a bit noisier. Now, just a level set, I'm by no means an expert in this, but I've taken one class at the tuning school and I'm excited to finally be able to apply some of those learnings here today. I'm very curious what this data log's gonna look like at a wide open throttle pull. We're gonna do a 0 to 60. Kooks Longtube Headers claims 15 to 25 horsepower gain with the Longtube Headers, like a 6% increase on power. Here we go. With our first 0 to 60, just to simply see if we get faster after the Longtube Headers or not. We're gonna foot brake at the 1500. For some perspective, the exhaust tone with the windows down, 85 decibels. The wind blowing in the cabin at 50 is 96 decibels. So, to be honest, it's really not that loud in the cabin. Outside, it sounds good. I'm open. Yeah, good pass. What do we say? Colby! Nope. First thing we gotta do is pull the headers down from my storage facility. You good? So yeah, our second bedroom's already full of car parts. How to use the attic. All right, so we got two boxes here. One box is gonna be the Y pipe, padded Y pipe if the EPA is watching, and then our long tube headers here. There's our Y pipe. Oh, there's a warning on here. If you're from California, this may cause cancer. Yeah, buddy. These are 1 3/4 inch diameter. They make a 1 7/8, but we're gonna go 1 3/4 just because of the power level this truck's gonna be at. I believe the 1 7/8 is gonna be too much flow, and it'll actually kill my low range torque. Now don't quote me on this, from my understanding, the larger diameter tube helps you with the high end horsepower. So if you're flooring it all the time, always up at red line, you'll have more power. But this is more realistic from day-to-day driving. It'll provide better low end torque. Hence why we went with 1 3/4. All right, we have Sarge on the passenger side getting that fender liner out. This one is out. We're gonna hit it one more time with PB Blaster. I'm gonna soak these manifold bolts as much as I can because we don't want them to, I'm not gonna say it out loud, to do something we don't want them to do. How are we looking over here? Even more room. My boy's trying to get my dog to sit down. Sit. Clearly, you're not the boss. Looks just like your 70 Chevy back in high school, didn't it?
Yeah, like all this stuff in the way.
So since we're all the way in here, we're gonna go ahead and change plugs and wires as well. So if we're doing all this work to get past this point, might as well while we're in there. Plus this thing's at 66,000 miles. Probably a good time to change these out because we have more extreme things coming on this.
Take you where you want to go.
All right, plugs are all out. The fact that the truck's only a few years old definitely helps. We're gonna take this manifold shield off next. So the shield's coming off, then we'll go underneath, get that Y pipe out, and then we're gonna start playing with these manifold bolts.
I can take you where you want to go. Drink up, when diamonds, me and my homies vibing. Stacks off in my pocket, cause we on the corner grinding. I'm in the candy cane.
I had this amp step down when I unhooked the battery, so that stuck down. Woo, that was gonna be fun. What was that game back in the day with the monkeys? The chain?
Yeah. The barrel monkeys.
Barrel monkeys. Yeah, connected like barrel monkeys. That's what it is. There we are, barrel monkey. Oh my goodness. Come on. There we go. That's better. Oh. All right, the 3 bolts holding the exhaust onto the manifold are loosened and off, and I'm gonna go ahead and unhook it where I bolted up the new AWE exhaust onto the stock Y pipe, and then hopefully I'll have enough room to slide it up and out. Let's find out. Well, I guess the question is now, do I commit and just cut this damn thing? Long story short, I'm trying to get this thing out of here without cutting anything, but we might end up cutting something. You know, the boreless system I had on here for 12 hours wasn't this hard to get off.
If I can grab this side.
Well, this is the point of no return, my friends, because this is what we call get her done. All right, let me trade places with you. You're gonna have a sore neck tomorrow.
No. My back too.
All right, we got the cat. Put it in the car and run. We're gonna sell it. What's this worth? 30 bucks? Oh, these are heavy cats. Jeez.
If this doesn't work out, we can make a living stealing cats.
We'd get caught on the first one. Taking so long.
Yeah, we'd be nice.
I don't want to hit the transmission pan. We'll call myself the kind criminal. We're the KCs. We steal your cat, but then we weld a straight pipe in for you.
So at least you can leave.
People leave undetected. They're like, hey, my car sounds a little bit better. Hot shards of metal on my bicep. Feels so good. You, goodbye. But you, Mr. Cat, I'm gonna go make some friends down in downtown Dallas and see where they take him. Oh, that's why. There we are. Now all we gotta do is do this underneath the truck. That is so cool. You know what? I'm gonna overnight some new manifold bolts. Please, 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 please. Yes! Yeah! Thank you, Kooks Headers. Stage 8 locking fasteners. Oh, that's a sigh of relief. And we have new header gaskets.
You've got stickers.
Oh, most importantly, sticker. This is a really nice kit. Not to shame your kit, but the cheap eBay kit that we installed in a 99 Silverado, it works okay. It went in. But even like the gasket material, they included hardware. A little bit relieved. Yeah, what was yours?
I think I paid $2.99.
Your Y pipe has very high flow cats.
What makes them high flow?
They're not there. It's over 25 years old. We're good. It doesn't have to pass emissions, that truck anyways. Now I'll be back in here early tomorrow before my wife wakes up and sees what I'm doing to her truck. I'm changing her oil. That's what we tell her. All right, Sarge. You can go back home to Grammy because she can get mad at me that I'm still playing with you here.
Hey, Maui, sit. Good boy.
All right, guys. Big mahalos to Sarge once again. That was fun.
That was fun.
We finally had a quick minute to look at the data log, and it was surprisingly bad. This is a stock tune, and there's a lot going on this, and I'm still learning how to do this and kind of refine and tune things. Essentially, this red line is the RPM, so you can see it come up first gear, second gear, third gear, and we hit about 60 there. Well, what's surprising is that red line. That is what we do not want. So that is the spark retard. So when it detects knock, it'll retard the spark to try to eliminate that knock. And as we got closer and closer to red line, in each of these gears, the amount of knocking, surprisingly bad for a stock tune. Now we do have a colder intake and an exhaust on the truck. I did not expect it to be that bad though. 12 degrees of spark retard on just that 0 to 60 pull. But I'm hoping to bring you guys a little more of this when I can speak to it a little more intelligently, but I'm still learning how to do this. I'm enjoying it, but the 2020 Silverado is definitely in need of some refinements. Also, we're gonna have a quick update on merch bright and early in the morning, so we'll see you in the shop. Morning, guys. Now comes the fun part. We're gonna pull the manifolds off and see how in the world we're gonna snake these guys up and in that very crowded engine bay. Now, before we dive into this fun stuff, I have an exciting announcement for you guys for something you have been asking of me for, I'm not exaggerating here, for over 5 years. And it's merch, or merchandise as you're supposed to call it. Merch is now available. Now, we still need to figure out what this is gonna be long-term for the channel, or even how we're gonna do this. But for the time being, the merch that's now available is gonna be essentially priced at cost. I'm not looking to make money on this, but until the last day of February at midnight in Texas, we are pricing everything essentially at or just barely above cost to make it work on the Teespring site. It is print on demand, so essentially what happens is you put the order in, they get the order, they print the shirt, and then they ship the shirt. So it does take a few weeks sometimes. Now, I've been ordering my merch that I've been wearing on this channel from Teespring. We have some of the OG designs as well as some of the new Mo Better built garage designs, which we're really gonna kind of expound on here in the future. So thank you for the support over all these years, guys. Merch is now available, and again, everything's priced essentially at or just barely above cost up until the end of February. One last really quick note on sizing. Teespring has a ton of different brands available on their site, which means each one has a different cut and fit to it. Everything that I've ordered and made up to this point has always been slim fit. I'm 5'10", 160 on a good week, so I'm a skinny brother, and I realize that there's some bigger brothers out there that watch the channel, so I went back this morning to design a few different options with a very classic fit for some of my bigger cousins out there. So keep a note to look for that bigger brother size, or if it's a slim fit, because both are available, linked below. And for the 6, now 7 ladies that watch this channel, this is the one my wife made for herself and actually wears it nonstop. This one's also up and available for y'all if you want it. So last night before we went to bed, we hit it with some PB Blaster one more time. We got a couple manifold bolts to take out, and this is where this project could take, a few more hours or a few more days. Here we go. All right, we're doing the barrel monkey thing again. So manifold bolts we need to take out. There's 5 of them. There, 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 and there. And it looks like, wow, that's weird. The exhaust manifold's actually split in a few different spots. Maybe they figured old bolts kept shearing off. 13 millimeter. Here we go. Oh, please, 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 please. Oh, that hurt my wrist, but it felt good. Ho, ho, ho. Let's go. This is the one on the previous generation Silverados that has the issue. But this one's gonna work. Oh, feeling good, feeling good. Yeah. Those of you that have older Silverados know what I'm talking about. Driver's side back manifold bolt, they're always sheared off. And I'm certain that that's the case on that one there. We'll deal with that when the day comes, but since that came out no problem, whew, today's gonna be a good day. Let's go. Can I get a cheer? Let's go. We're gonna check really quick how tough my life's gonna be for the next few hours. Woo, let's go. That's what we would call cherry brown. Or a pretty daggone good dang fit. Let's go, that looks good. Comparing these Kooks headers to my dad's eBay headers that we put on his truck, night and day difference. This is what's coming out, and this is going in. I mean, come on. Once again, these are 1 3/4 long tube headers going through to a Kooks aftermarket Y pipe. Replacing the stock manifolds, going through this massive cat, being replaced with our Kooks high flow cats. And one other thing that Chevy does, which I still don't understand, is why in the world they pancake their exhaust. Even on the 6th gen Camaro, the exhaust was completely pancaked over the rear axle. And in these new Silverados, when it comes to the Y pipe, it goes from looks like a 2.5 to a pancaked, and then merges and goes back to 3 straight out the back. Some rumor that this is for frequency and flow. If you have any guesses why in the world Chevy still does this, drop them in the comments below. But this is a Y pipe replacing a Y pipe. It does go from 2 to 1, back to 2 out the rear bumper. I do want to change that in the future with a true dual exhaust and potentially an X pipe, which will be a future video. So if you're not subscribed to the channel just yet, guys, scroll down, hit that subscribe button below so you don't miss that change when that day comes. Absolutely free to subscribe. Just more likely you'll see the future shenanigans I do to my wife's truck. Before we pop our new plugs in, we're gonna go ahead and check the gaps. Now these AC Delcos should come pre-gapped, but as we learned at the tuning school, it's always not a bad idea to double check. I checked all the plugs that came out and they were all exactly 0.037. Very lightly checked so we don't damage the tip. All right, they're all good. Let's go. You go, dog. And just like that, headers are on. Driver and passenger side, wide open headers right now. We still got to install the Y pipe and the cats and hook up everything else beyond that. Plugs and wires are all installed and hooked up. So technically we get to start the truck up and see what it sounds like with open headers, but I live in an HOA and in respect to my neighbors, I would never do that.
lights that have magnets on the back of them that are stuck to the I-beams. All I saw when I started it was lights falling from the ceiling. That was rowdy. It was going too good for too long, guys. We have a clearance issue with our Y pipe going into our stock exhaust. So essentially the Kooks Y pipe comes here, meets up with the factory exhaust, which goes to the AWE exhaust out of the back. Now this is the point where these two meet up, and it meets up perfectly up underneath the truck. So that all works. What doesn't work is this and that. This ball and socket type of merger is not merging, even with the V-band on here. There's nothing I can do to get these things far enough together to get that V-band to go over the top. I tried clearancing out just a little bit. I even tried to ratchet strap them together, and nothing's working. So, break out our new welder. What do you think? Yeah? Woo! We're out here burning a lot of time that we don't have right now, but we've finally had an excuse to break out this bad boy right here. I finally have my own welder. I've been borrowing my father-in-law's welder for years, and late last year I decided to finally pull the trigger on my own. So Harbor Freight, the Vulcan brand, this is the Omni Pro 220, I think it's called. It's got a digital display and really cool capabilities, especially for the price point, and a very cheap welding cart. And for the first time in my life, we have shielding gas. I've never used this before, but I'm very excited to finally try it. And the whole reason we're having to weld is this stinking thing right there. Because this is too large or this is too small. There's no way for this to clamp over the top of both of them, because once you start tightening it down, it slips right off of this guy. There's nothing I can do to press it on there any harder. So these are in here for the moment. We're gonna hold it in place and actually tack weld this guy where it sits, and that way I have the angles right. And then I'll pull it all out, and then we'll weld it all the way around, and then pray we can snake it back in here. Let's go. You know, I've always wanted to build my own exhaust for one of these trucks, so need to practice. Got to start somewhere. We're gonna turn it down a tiny bit. She ain't pretty, but that's where I burned a hole earlier, and I just try to fill it with weld just to seal it up. So I'm gonna grind all that down and see if there's any, I guess, pockets that I missed. As we got over towards this side, I started to kind of figure out somewhat of a bead. And then this one here, I tried a little bit differently where I came up and down a little bit further as I went. And I don't know, the bead looks better. We'll call that good enough for now. We still gotta kind of hone in and figure out this new machine. See guys, a little bit of grinding, a little bit of paint, and no one would even know. Main thing is it's hooked up, it's solid, and hopefully doesn't leak. Although the V-band technically leaked beforehand, so I don't know. It's not perfect, it's just more better. These are a pain. The front one wasn't long enough to reach where it needed to go, so we had to unhook the clip further up on the engine block and then allow it some flexibility so it reached. This one, cross your fingers guys, little dab of high temp anti-seize. Quick checklist. Exhaust is hooked up from the back, the Y pipe, the headers, the bolts on those flanges, the O2 sensors are in, the header bolts are in, the battery is plugged in, and it's time to hear this thing fire up finally. Ugh, why am I nervous? I really hope this goes well. We're gonna let it idle and then heat up to about operating temp. Once it's there, we'll shut it down, let it cool down for a second, and then we need to go back and check the header bolts for torque. If it's not leaking, we're going for a drive. Are you ready for this? 3, 2, 1. It would help if I pushed the brake. That sounds pissed off. Main thing I'm trying to see is if there's any major leaks, but it doesn't look like it. That sounds good though. That is a lot different tone. It's kind of got a pissed off rasp to it. That's a lot different. And would you look at that, guys? My weld, no leaks. Haha. All right, she's had a bit to cool down. We're gonna go back to the header bolts here and torque them back down to 18 foot-pounds. I believe that is the torque spec. That's what I could find online. So 18 foot-pounds, we're gonna work across the header bolts. And what I'm gonna do is actually get a Sharpie and mark where that bolt is. That way, if they somehow start backing out on their own, I'll be able to tell from that mark. Which should never happen, but might as well while I'm in here. Oh my gosh. What did I do? That is so aggressive. Oh, my wife's gonna be pissed. Maybe. Maybe she's like me and likes this stuff. Regardless, you know, our first stop on this long tube header tour, it's gotta be Sarge. We may need some refinements. We'll see.
So you don't have any problem with your wires touching at all?
No, actually, Kooks did a little bit better job than the eBay seller you got yours from.
Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, yours are not even, mine are like wrapped right around mine. You don't even need those sleeves.
I only put one on each side. So number one, right, 1, 3, 5, 7.
2, 4, 6, 8.
Yeah, so piston 3 and then number 4. So 3 and 4, they were a little too close for comfort because the boot was like right up against the header, but the wires are completely out of the way.
Yeah.
So bit different situation than yours. Although if I was gonna have a problem, I would have found out on the way here.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to curse it yet, but there's no check engine lights, running like it should.
Well, it is a little lower than skid plate.
If that ever touches, these running boards are dead.
Oh.
Because this is the lowest part of the truck. No fender liners, we'll get that installed back when I get home, but I wanted to be sure that there were no issues before we covered it all back up. You wanna hold that?
All my neighbors are sleeping. Yeah, that sounds good right there, though. Blub, 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 blub.
But I think if I get the true dual exhaust and then run an X pipe, it'll eliminate the popping, where it kind of merges the exhaust pulses.
Yeah.
But overall, not bad. Hey, I want to see your kilomat. Hello, mother.
I can hear your noise.
Your teenage child is home.
The legend itself.
Oh, wow.
Well, I got it all put back together, then I forgot to put this in.
Oh, it goes underneath, yeah?
It's underneath. So,
Ah, crap. Well, it's just carpet, yeah?
yeah.
Look at that. Kilomat. So, big difference here. So you got this, and then... Oh, you did the entire floor. Oh, look at you.
The headliner.
Headliner as well.
Yeah. It's coming out. But yeah.
Oh, you did the inside of the door panels.
Inside,
Like, this is the difference. You got this, and then... Looks good. And guys, I know a lot of you guys asked about this truck and what the status is. Once it warms up a little bit, we're gonna have a garage paint job happening in this paint booth. So she will be getting paint soon, and it's actually the same exact OEM color as the 2020 out front. And look at you rocking the Real Truck merch.
You like that, don't you?
Bring your truck to life with Real Truck.
It sounds good.
Mom rolls her eyes, Dad just leans back and laughs. You think Aloha is gonna be mad?
No, she's gonna like it.
Bye, guys. Love that smell. New metal getting really hot and breaking in. A few of you know what I'm talking about, but first drive, very successful. I haven't seen any leaks just yet, but we do need to get the fender liners back in here, get this thing buttoned backed up and ready for my wife because she thinks I'm doing an oil change. We'll get you guys that pre-post test as well as our 0 to 60 test to see if this thing actually picked up any horsepower. But stick around for my wife's reaction because I really don't know how this is gonna go here in a minute. All right, foot brake at the 15 and we go.
60.
We took off over half a second in the 0 to 60. Same exact conditions, same exact location, same temperature. Half a second 0 to 60 improvement with headers. What I'm really curious about though is, what in the world? First gear, second gear, third gear, we got up to 60. We had a little bit of a detection of knock, but 3.6 degrees of knock retard versus 12. How is that? I expected it to be opposite. Call that a win. Seatbelt.
Why are the windows down?
Oh, it just smelled weird in here earlier.
Was that supposed to happen?
Nope.
Where was
Really?
that?
It was a little funny doing the oil change, but
I think you stepped on the balloon.
I did run a data log on it. I'm not sure.
Sure, yeah, Colin.
That was
Sure.
I want to see how fast. Well, it's
There was a weird pipe that I just replaced since it had it off already. So it should run a little bit better. It might be a little noisier. It's just a little bit different sound.
This is not how it's gonna be from now on, is it? Now you're gonna know if I'm actually speeding or not.
I'm gonna hear you from miles.
Is it really gonna backfire like that also?
Shouldn't.
Shouldn't? That was bad.
I'll get my pillow ready to sleep on the couch tonight. This was a mistake. Making anything of my wife's higher performance is a mistake.
It sounds so cool!
This is so cool.
So cool.
All right, I'm hoping this turns out okay because it's incredibly windy right now. Well, we're gonna call that a big success. By the numbers, the truck is 7 to 8% quicker to 60 and 20% louder, the equivalent of a rock concert, according to Google. The only thing we changed was the stock manifolds, cats, and Y pipe to the Kooks Longtube Headers, Kooks High Flow Cats, and Kooks Y pipe. She sounds nasty. And this is just step 1 and version 2 of our Trail Boss build. Like I said, we're diving fully back into the Silverado Trail Boss that we're giving a new name. We're calling it the Big Kahuna. And on that wonderful exhaust note, it is now time to end. Don't worry about the shop build. We are back at the shop here in a few days because my brick is scheduled to be delivered this
week. So we'll catch you in a few days for that next video. Until that day comes, as always, guys, y'all take care. Ahui ho, aloha, and remember, it's never perfect, just